Hey guys, it's Charlie Merrill with Merrill Performance. As often happens, inspiration comes to us when we're exercising. And today I'm outside on a beautiful afternoon in Boulder. You can see the Boulder Reservoir in the background and maybe the Flatirons if you look close enough. I just got back from teaching a seminar at CrossFit Reykjavik. This was sort of a beta test of some material I've been developing. And the content that drew the most interest was around the idea of stability. And many of you already know the importance of mobility. I think of mobility as half one side of a coin, stability being the other side. And I've noticed in my practice over time that people will spend a lot of time mobilizing. They'll get improved range of motion, but they won't necessarily keep it. So stability magically is the way to, over time, start to keep that mobility that you've been developing. And I followed StabilityWOD for a long time. I decided that I would go back to that first post where Kelly talked about spending time in the bottom of a squat, 10 minutes, and exploring for mobility in the ankles and the hips, and just getting your nervous system used to being there. There are many pieces of the squat that are important to focus on. And the idea of stability really starts from the brain. The brain is where all of our intention comes from around which muscles are firing while we're doing any given movement. So let's go back to the original squat, and I'm going to give you one little take-home teaser today around the idea of stability, and expect a lot more to come. So I'm going to start at the bottom of the squat, and we're going to explore around a little bit, settle into that nice position. And I could spend a bit of time here, but most of my body's soft. I could just relax here. I have the mobility to do that. It's a pretty comfortable position for me. After a few minutes, I can sort of settle into it. But when I'm really doing this to gain maximum benefit, or when I have weight on my back, the idea of driving the knees out becomes really important. So opening up the hip to get that mobility is the first step. Teaching the glutes and the hip rotators to fire to help you access that mobility is the second step. So as I'm dropping down, I'm constantly focusing on driving my knees out, firing my hip rotators, and keeping them firing until I get to the bottom of that squat. Now that feels like a lot of work compared to me just resting in a squat. So if I'm really being intentional about it, focusing with my brain, I can really engage my glutes. My squat becomes much stronger, much more stable, much more effective under load. Now this carries over to lots of different sports, but I want you all to know that I could do 10 of these with this intention, and I could have some serious burning going on in my glutes and in my hip rotators. This is an amazing way to take the mobility you gain from spending time in the bottom of a squat and then taking it to that next level of intentionally telling the muscles that are responsible for the bottom of that squat to fire up, especially after a day of sitting. I'm out on my bike trying to make that happen. If you're just getting home from work, knock off a few reps with that new intention and tune back in tomorrow. We're going to talk about stability a bit more. Thanks for tuning in.